to sound more and more like an Evo.
Just a few months ago, I thought I was living the American dream, owning my own business, you know, the whole suit and tie thing. But at the end of the day, it wasn't fueling my passion. So I sought out a position in a brand new industry, which led me to MAP. I've always been into cars, and now that I'm here doing marketing and content creation, it got me thinking, why shouldn't I give a shot at building a car that I could enjoy and put it up on YouTube to share my passion with other enthusiasts? The only problem is, what car? And what can I possibly do that hasn't been done before?
What is going on, you guys? Charlie here with another video for you. Today though, we're gonna be doing something that's gonna be seeming a little bit redundant to some of you guys. And we're finally getting around to installing this ETS intake. Because one of you guys came through with this stock MAP housing for me. Hit us up on the gram, let me know that you had one laying around. You lived right by the shop, so you came by to drop it off. Huge shout out to you. I'm gonna put this guy's Instagram right here on the page, on the screen somewhere. So definitely go ahead and show some love to him. Thank you so much, bro, for coming through and dropping this off to make this ETS intake install successful. Now, if you look under the hood, you might already realize that I've kind of done some work on this intake, and I did go ahead and already install our MAPerformance 3-inch intake on here, and I'll be honest with you guys, it looks and feels absolutely amazing on the car. It seems like it's done some work. It feels like it's helped me out a little bit with some of the idling. I don't know if it's maybe just like correcting a leak or something like that was on the car before, but nonetheless, you guys wanted to see the ETS intake on there, and even though I've already gone ahead and installed the MAPerformance one, we're gonna swap this one out today for the ETS intake. And I'm gonna be able to tell you guys what I think about the two, because I mean, even though this car is kind of on a crappy tune right now, I'll be able to drive them back to back and let you know what I think. So anyways, I'm taking this apart and then we're gonna put the new one on and we'll let you guys know how it goes. All right, you guys, so we just got our MAPerformance intake taken off. As you can see, still looking amazing as ever. Anyways, so I've got to move over the MAP sensor from this intake onto the new stock MAP housing that our boy brought over. Thank you so much for this, really appreciate it. So I'm going to move that stuff over, reinstall the intake, and we'll be good to go. So it's a relatively, obviously, super easy install. It's even easier if you've done it 3 times in the last week. So don't make the same mistakes I did. Double check your parts, make sure you got everything you need for your install. And my feedback would be to order the right stuff the first time around, so you don't got to be an idiot like me. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead, move that MAP sensor over, and we'll start getting this new piping installed. Easy enough, so that came out just simple. Now we'll go ahead and drop it in right here. So from the first few times I've done this, I've learned that it's a lot easier to just set up this intake portion of it separate from the piping itself, and then install the piping, add the silicone tubing, and you're good to go. So I've done the install enough times for you guys to know that that's, in my experience, the easiest way. Now from a performance standpoint, I mean, I don't know that there will be much difference between these two intakes. They're pretty similar. anybody who's run an R intake and has also ran the ETS intake will tell you they're very similar. I think like the biggest discernible difference between the ETS intake and R intake is that ours has a built-in MAP sensor housing, whereas this one uses the stock MAP sensor housing. So again, biggest differences there is going to be this, right? On this, it comes with the piece welded on right here, etched, letting you know which way the map's got to go. Super simple. On the ETS one, again, not very complicated, but the only difference is that it utilizes this. So, yeah, so I mean, it's not a huge deal either way, but that's really going to be the biggest discernible difference, in my opinion, other than the fact that our K&N intake is larger than this one, and has a built-in velocity stack to it, whereas this one has the milled map adapter that also serves as the velocity stack. In addition to that, the heat shield on the ETS intake is a little bit smaller than ours, obviously, so it'll look a little bit different in the engine bay. Theoretically, would still shield the heat just as well, so I'm not sure there's going to be a huge difference there. But again, those are going to be the only differences, really. Everything else should perform relatively similar. You guys, I shit you not, I almost was not able to install this intake again because I don't know if I ordered the wrong part this time, but I didn't have caps for these barb fittings here that come on the ETS intake. But luckily, we had some stuff here at the shop that I could use to just plug these up, and now we're gonna be good to go. So the next step for me, now that again I've got the, excuse the dyno run. All right, and now that I got the intake obviously all assembled here, like the filter part of it here, all that would be left to do is get the coupler on, and then that's how this would attach to this piece. We're gonna get the coupler on here that attaches to the factory inlet, and then we'll be able to start putting piping into the engine bay. So there we go. You guys, so I actually decided to remove the strut brace just to give me a little bit more room. I know when I did this install before, Tiny was telling me it's all in the technique, it's all in the technique, but apparently I just need to know the proper technique. Just gotta get in there. Honestly, I think somebody by the name of Tiny Kyle and somebody who looks like me might need some different strategies to work on cars. So I decided to remove that strut brace to give myself some extra room. You might not have to, but I'm going to. Yes. All right, so I finally got this lower blow-off valve piped off. As you guys can maybe see, it was super crusty. My hands get super dirty from trying to get this off, but now we'll be able to put the new replacement line on there, and yeah, we should be in good shape after this. All right, you guys, so as you can see, we got the ETS intake all installed. I just gotta go ahead and finish buttoning up some of the other pieces that I took off in the meantime, just to make the install a little bit cleaner. So I'm gonna finish putting these little bolts on. I'll show you guys a little B-roll sequence of this badass looking ETS intake, and then we're gonna start it up and see how it sounds. So stay tuned. you guys, so I'm not gonna lie to you. Yesterday, as I was wrapping up this installation and getting some B-roll and whatnot, all the cameras died. Well, not true. My Sony camera, the SD card that I had on me ran out of space, and all the batteries for the GoPro, which I record a lot of this stuff on, the vlog kind of stuff, all the batteries are dead on this, so I wasn't able to give you guys the update on kind of my what I think of this intake now that it's installed. So as I finished up the installation, the only thing that I had left to do that I didn't capture on camera was some minor adjustments to just the fitment of everything, just kind of making sure that everything was properly you know, aligned the way I wanted it to look as good as it possibly can. Just making sure that again, the fitment was right. We adjusted the blow-off valve. So what I'm gonna do this morning here before I get my day started is take this car around for a spin and let you guys know what I think of it, maybe get you guys some clips on how it sounds, because the one thing I will say is that it made the actual sounds from the blow-off valve and like the induction noises are a million times louder than they were before. It's very similar to how it sounded with our MAP 3-inch intake, because these are very similar products, as I said before. But again, just it sounds way louder than it did with the AEM intake, which again may or may not be by design. I'm not sure if that one was operating properly or not, so no knocking on that at all. But I do think that the main reason the blow-off valve sounds so much louder is because it was relocated to the front of the engine bay as opposed to being in the back where it was with the AEM intake. So again, we're gonna go out, drive around, see how it sounds. Well, I already know, but I'm gonna share it with you guys, and you can let me know down in the comments what you think. All right, so we're getting to the spot where I can maybe drive a little bit more spiritedly. Hopefully you guys can hear the intake induction noises. Woo. We'll roll the window up here. Just enough. Hopefully that makes a difference. So, in all reality, the only thing that's changed isn't necessarily the performance of the car as of right now. I mean, granted, the way the engine runs and the way that it operates has obviously changed. Whenever you change your intake, it's like the most important thing to get a tune after, or really to have one before you put a new intake on. Something you could easily email your tuner and have them send over a file for, or whatever the case may be. It should be a pretty easy adjustment. But just to have something like that ready for when you install a new intake, it's typically recommended. Now, we're obviously taking some chances here, but it's at our discretion. I just wouldn't necessarily recommend it to anybody else because you never know what's going to happen. Now, as I'm sure you guys can tell, again, the biggest change right now is the sounds. It sounds absolutely amazing right now. It's so much more aggressive than it did before, and I'm really happy with it. I'm really, really, really happy with the way it sounds. I think it looks absolutely amazing. Installation was relatively self-explanatory if you've installed some car parts before. So if you guys are interested, again, I want to give a huge shout out to our buddy who came by and dropped off the stock mass airflow sensor housing. Without you, man, this install would not have happened. And we would have ended up sticking with our MAPerformance intake simply because it had the mass airflow sensor housing built in, and I wouldn't have had to go get a new one. So with this, now we get to, you know, live with this ETS intake. We'll actually be tuning the car with this intake on it. and this will be the one that we run for the foreseeable future until we need to upgrade to the larger 3.5-inch intake. So with that being said, you guys, that's gonna wrap up today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed seeing the successful installation of the ETS intake. I know I'm happy that it was done. So if you guys enjoyed this kind of videos and you guys enjoyed this kind of content, make sure that you let me know down in the comments below so we can keep doing this sort of stuff and continue to build this ultimate Evo project. I am super stoked to see where this thing ends up in the next few weeks. But that's it, you guys. Make sure you leave me a big old thumbs up and subscribe. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.